I remember really well the first Sunday I walked into the Sense and Nonsense About Dating course. I was walking in there by myself, so I was really nervous. I felt it was extremely awkward, and I was really emotional about it. For some reason, it was just a huge step to just go to this course that was for singles. And I actually remember crying that first Sunday. And at the same time, I was just really excited. Because here, you know, I was 39 and single, and I was gonna do something about it. Whenever there were men around, you know, I would kind of look down, I would try to ignore them. I would definitely not initiate a conversation with them. And if they initiated a conversation with me, I always knew to get out as quickly as possible. So I was this very social girl, very outgoing. I talked to everyone. But when it came to just a man and me, I was just really afraid. And the reason that I was so afraid of men is that I was sexually abused most of my childhood by my father. And so that really made me into a person that was afraid of man, that didn't trust man, that didn't want to be around man. Just a lot of fear. I had this desire to get married. I had this desire to not walk life alone anymore, and I had this desire to have my own family. So I knew that it was not going to happen on its own, and when I heard about the course, I knew, like, okay, this is me doing something about it. The course in the beginning doesn't tell you to do much more than to just lift up your head and just look around and maybe even just smile. The first few weeks that I started doing that, I actually got responses right away from guys, and I was so overwhelmed by that. I was so in shock and extremely afraid. So during the course, I had to probably spread out the homework a little further apart because I was so new in it, and to even lift my head up and then guys talk to me. I just needed time to process all that. But even though it was extremely difficult and sometimes painful for me, I kept it up. And at first I kind of walked away, and I was kind of patting myself on the back like, hey Maddie, at least you lifted up your head. That's good enough for now. And then soon enough the set came that, okay, if a guy approaches me, that I'm actually going to talk back to him. I'm going to say hi when he says hi to me. I really decided to follow all the rules of the book, and I said yes to any guy that asked me out. Now, I didn't have like many dates a week. I took it very slowly, but I did commit myself to, if a guy asks you out, you will go. And so I went into this season of you know, dating guys, and for the most part it was just really uncomfortable, very tense, and then slowly on I got more comfortable with it because of the practice. And then I came into a place where, you know, I would not just go out on a first date, but also on a second and a third. In January 2012, I was traveling for work, and I travel a lot for work, and this time it was to the States. And I love the States. I go there very frequently. So I decided that I was not just going to go to the States for 2 weeks for work, but I would actually extend my stay and just visit some friends and my church. You know, one Sunday I ended up going to my church, and I always have this pattern. I put my bag where I'm going to sit, and then I usually, you know, grab some coffee and then get back to the auditorium when service starts. So this Sunday was no different. And by the time I got back to my seat, there was actually a guy sitting like next to my bag. And my first initial thought was like, oh, let me just grab my bag. He's not seeing me. Let me just grab my bag and go sit somewhere else. And then I really stopped and realized, like, hey, that's my old pattern. I cannot be doing that. Like, this person, obviously he doesn't know who I am, but he sat down while he knew somebody else was sitting there also. So you're just gonna go sit down there. And he turned around to me, and there was just this pleasantness between us, and we ended up really chatting for quite a while, like until the service started. And that for me was huge. Like, I realized as I was talking to this guy and as the service had started that I was really comfortable, and I was really proud of myself for not walking away. So that was a very concrete moment where I thought back of the course right away and was like, hey, because of the course, you know, I'm actually talking to a stranger right now. To make a very long story short, I ended up marrying this guy 9 months later. And it's just a huge testimony of really what this course has done for me. It's a huge testimony of my hard work to meet my spouse. And it is a huge testimony for God, because we all want our husband to just knock on the door and then we'll meet. We all want for God to provide. And this is just a testimony where God says, hey, if you do your work, I will provide, because my husband ended up falling into my lap, but it was only after I was just really ready to receive it.